If you own a Nintendo Switch and you're into Pokemon, you already know the lineup is pretty stacked. But which games are actually worth your time? I ranked all 10 so you don't have to guess. Let's get into it. Pokémon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX. This one's a remake of the classic GBA and DS games, and it hits different on Switch. You don't play as a trainer. You are a Pokemon. You wake up with no memory of being human, and you team up with a partner Pokemon to form a rescue team. The gameplay is a roguelike dungeon crawler where you explore randomly generated floors, fight enemies in turn-based combat, and rescue other Pokemon in need. Every move you make costs a step, so positioning actually matters. You build your team, level up your moves, and take on tougher and tougher dungeons over time. The watercolor art style is gorgeous and totally unique for a Pokemon game. It's slower paced compared to mainline games, but if you enjoy strategy and a surprisingly emotional story, this one's a gem most people sleep on.
Insisted on just hardening the whole time.
New Pokémon Snap. So this one is nothing like a traditional Pokémon game, and that's exactly the point. You ride on a rail through different environments, and your only job is to take photos of Pokémon living in the wild. No battles, no catching, just photography. But it gets deep. You earn points based on photo quality, the Pokémon's pose, how centered it is, and whether you caught a rare behavior. You can toss items or play music to trigger different reactions. And Pokémon interact with each other in ways you won't see coming. Unlocking new routes and revisiting old ones with upgraded gear keeps things fresh. It's chill, it's creative, and it genuinely makes you look at Pokémon differently. If you've ever wanted to just exist in the Pokémon world without the pressure of battles, New Snap gives you exactly that.
Oh, it's Tyranitar! What a wild way to eat!
Pokémon Let's Go Eevee is built on the Kanto region, the original 151 Pokémon, the classic towns, the familiar gyms. But the way you play it is redesigned from the ground up. Wild Pokémon don't fight you anymore. You catch them using motion controls or button inputs, similar to how Pokémon Go works. Battles are still turn-based when you face trainers, but the wild encounter system is completely different. Your partner Eevee sits on your shoulder the whole game, and you can customize it, play with it, and it'll have unique moves no other Pokemon can learn. 2 players can join in simultaneously, which makes it a great couch co-op experience. It's honestly a great entry point for new players or younger fans. And for veterans, it's a relaxed nostalgia trip through a familiar world with a fresh coat of paint. Pokémon Legends Arceus. This game changed how people think about Pokémon entirely. It's set in ancient Hisui, a version of Sinnoh from way before the modern Pokémon world existed. You're part of a survey team, and your mission is to complete the region's first ever Pokédex by studying Pokémon in the wild. You actually sneak through tall grass, dodge attacks, and throw Pokéballs in real time without triggering a menu. Battles still happen, but they flow differently. Pokémon and players can act multiple times in a row, depending on their speed stats. Catching Pokémon feels genuinely satisfying because it requires actual skill and patience. The world feels alive, and each area has its own ecosystem. It's not an open world in the traditional sense, but the freedom it gives you to approach the game your own way made it feel like a turning point for the franchise. Pokémon Sword and Shield take you to the Galar region, very clearly inspired by the UK, complete with countryside towns, industrial cities, and a massive stadium culture built around Pokémon battles. The big feature here is Dynamax, which lets your Pokémon grow giant and use powerful max moves for 3 turns. Raid battles in the wild area let you and 3 others fight massive Dynamax Pokémon online or locally. The wild area itself was a big deal. It's an open space where Pokémon roam freely, and you can see them before engaging. The story leans heavily into the competitive battle scene as a kind of national sport, which gives it a different vibe than other entries. It introduced some fan-favorite new Pokémon and had a solid post-game expansion. It's not perfect and got plenty of criticism at launch, but as a straightforward Switch Pokémon experience, it's comfortable and fun. Pokémon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. These are faithful remakes of the 2006 Diamond and Pearl games set in the Sinnoh region. And when they say faithful, they mean it. The chibi art style, the original layouts, the same story beats, almost everything is preserved from the originals. You travel through a snowy northern region, collect 8 gym badges, and stop Team Galactic from doing something catastrophically bad involving legendary Pokémon. The Underground makes a return, and now you can set up secret bases and hunt for rare Pokémon there. The Grand Underground is genuinely one of the best parts of the game. It doesn't reinvent anything, and some people found that frustrating. But if you loved the originals or never played them, this is a clean, polished way to experience Sinnoh on modern hardware with quality of life improvements and updated visuals that keep the charm of the original intact.
In turn-based battles, you'll select moves for your Pokémon to use against opponents. You win once your opponent's HP drops to 0.
Pokémon UNITE takes the familiar world of Pokémon and reshapes it into a fast-paced 5 vs 5 competitive experience that feels both accessible and surprisingly deep. Matches are short but intense, built around scoring points rather than destroying bases, which keeps the flow dynamic from start to finish. Each game starts with weak early forms and gradually builds into powerful evolutions, unlocking new moves that can completely shift team fights. The lack of type advantages puts full focus on positioning, timing, and team coordination, making every role feel important. Objectives across the map create constant pressure, especially in the final stretch where comeback mechanics can flip the outcome in seconds. While it doesn't offer a traditional story, its arena-based structure emphasizes pure gameplay and competition. Pokémon Legends ZA. Set in Lumio City from the Kalos region, ZA is built around an urban redevelopment project. The city is being restructured, and you're right in the middle of the story surrounding it. The gameplay builds on what Arceus started, with real-time catching and a more action-oriented battle system, but refined and expanded. Mega Evolution comes back, which is a huge deal for longtime fans. The city itself becomes your playground, and the density of the environment gives the game a different feel compared to the wide-open areas in Arceus. The story has a grittier, more urban energy, and the Pokémon that appear in it reflect that setting. It's a more mature-feeling Legends entry, and if you liked the direction Arceus took the series, ZA pushes that concept even further, with tighter design and a world that feels more intentionally constructed. Pokémon Pokopia takes a completely different direction from traditional Pokémon games, focusing on a calm, creative experience built around exploration and rebuilding rather than battles. You play as a Ditto, blending into a human world that has been left behind, slowly restoring nature and bringing life back to the environment. The core loop revolves around gathering resources, crafting structures, and shaping the land to create habitats that attract different Pokémon. What makes it stand out is how these Pokémon actively interact with the world you build, making everything feel more alive and personal. Instead of combat, progression comes from learning abilities by copying Pokémon skills, which opens new ways to explore and expand your space. There's also a subtle narrative in the background, hinting at what happened to the world, discovered through exploration rather than direct storytelling. Pokémon Scarlet and Violet are the first fully open-world mainline Pokémon games, and that alone makes them a landmark release. You're in the Paldea region, inspired by Spain and Portugal, and from the very beginning, the map is yours to explore however you want. There's no required order to gyms, story missions, or anything else. You can walk into a high-level area early and figure it out, or take your time with easier content first. 3 separate storylines run in parallel: the Gym Challenge, a treasure hunt, and a story involving Team Star, and they all converge in a finale that actually lands emotionally. Pokémon roam the overworld. You can catch them in real time, and the game runs at its best when you're just wandering and stumbling into something unexpected. Despite some technical issues at launch, the sheer scope and freedom of Scarlet and Violet represent the boldest step the mainline series has taken in years. That's the full top 10, whether you're just getting into Pokemon or you've been here since Gen 1. There's something on this list for you. Drop your favorite in the comments, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.